morning, everyone. We are going to go over Materio. Today's training session is going to go more in depth on creating a project in our system and what that looks like, how you can estimate, add plans, selections, etc. So I'm excited to dive in. First, I'm going to share my screen. If you have questions as we're going, please drop them in the chat. That way we can come back to them at some point. So I'm going to first open up my project screen here, and you will see that Materio is really visual. So you're going to have floor plans, you can add in elevations, things like concept boards or mood boards here. So anything can be uploaded to this project space that is a PDF. And this is also going to allow you to keep great version control on your plan. So you'll notice if I hover over this floor plan, I've got versions here. This version is number 7. So if I click on this, I can see previous versions of this plan. I can restore older versions, and then I can also always come in and replace them. So let's say I wanted to upload a new version of this, I could do that right here. And that would replace it. And that way everyone on my team knows this is the most up-to-date version and we are working off the same project. So in the beginning of starting a project, if you are doing drafting as a team, you might want to invite your clients or architects in earlier if you're working with them, or even the builder. This is a great way to let people come in and collaborate. They can come in and communicate on the floor plan itself. So let's say the builder has questions about something, even if they're bidding the project, or maybe your client is coming in and giving feedback on the space plan about their needs and desires in their home. So they could say, you know, so of course, this is on my end, but typically this would be coming from your client side. You can also change this and make this an internal conversation. So let's say you as the lead designer are trying to guide your draftsman or a team member through some plan changes. You could do that, drop those comments there exactly where it's meant to be. So that's really a great tool for communication where it's meant to be on the floor plan, especially in those early stages of the project. Now, when we're ready to actually start outlining a project, we are going to use the scope starter. So over here on the left, you'll notice I don't have anything yet, but as I build this out, I'm going to get a better idea of what it is that I need to design and quote on this project. So this gives me the opportunity to look through my plans. I can take a look at multiple floor plans here, and you can say, all right, I've got 4 bedrooms here. We've got 4 bathrooms. I think we have no half baths in this house, so we'll do 0. And then we can say, all right, we're gonna be doing the kitchen, pantry, living room, dining room, foyer, library, office. We'll actually say the sunroom. And then we've got, we'll go ahead and put the primary closet here as well. So you can add custom locations here, and then you can always also change these or customize these later. And then next, I'm going to start to outline the services that I'm going to be offering. So I'm probably offering design services. If you are a design build firm and you're doing more construction oriented things, you can always estimate those out here as well. Or if you just want to give your client a full picture of the project. And then there's things like FF&E. We've got our electrical. So maybe we have a certain items here. Again, you're going to want to customize that more fully when you start to do the electrical plan, plumbing. Materio is going to help you here start to outline what it is that's needed. These are just typical selections that might be for plumbing in these locations. So as I go through, it's going to help me out and let me know, hey, these are some suggested selections. And then I can get into building out my project. All right. It goes all the way down to furniture and soft goods. Those are things that are going to get really customized anyways. So these are just going to be the basics. And then next, you're going to think about how you're setting up your project. So are you doing a profit and overhead, meaning you are showing the fee to your client? Possibly this is a design fee, a percentage on top of all the product in your project. This would be if you're charging a design fee or even a flat rate fee. This is going to be visible to the clients. So if you're a designer who's typically including markup on your products, you would want to include markup, and then you would want to put your default here. You can always customize this per item later. This is just going to help you not have to do that every item from the beginning. And then you're gonna say, okay, on this project, am I typically gonna be buying wholesale or retail? And then am I going to be charging my clients tax? So I'm gonna say yes, I'm typically buying wholesale and I'm gonna charge tax. So then I've started to create my outline here. You'll see that this will load into the scope of work. This gives me a great view of all of the things that are needed. Now, I still have work to do to customize this and to make it right for this project, but this gives me a living, breathing document that not as just a list, it becomes an estimate, it becomes a place for you to start to add statuses and communicate with your team and collaborators on what is happening. So for instance, I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to outline the locations here. Maybe, electrical, you're probably going to have something in every single location, but that's how you would check the locations. If you need to customize these locations, you can come to this gear right here and do manage locations. If you want to rename, bathroom to bathroom 3, guest bathroom, etc., you can come in and do that. And you can scroll down to the bottom and also create new locations. So that is an option. And then if you have items that already exist, you can drag those down into other locations. So maybe we want to put, ceiling fans and things in different rooms, but I can also come in and just add and type in an item. You'll notice when I type in a custom item, there's not a question mark next to it. That question mark shows that it needs a selection, which means I need to design something for that. I need a source, get approval. So what I would do is just come over and enable selection. I can also come in and click into the item detail panel here and enable the selection right here. So this is another place that you can do that. So the item details panel is going to be a great place to just dive into the details, add descriptions. If you need to discuss the specific item with your clients or with your team, you can do that right here. Another great tool is just seeing the history. So as you start to add products, things are approved. If you need to reopen, there's always this history button here and it will give you all the details. So now I'm going to start to estimate where these things might go. And the cool thing about Materio is we allow you to mark on top of the plans. So let's just say we're going to remove some of these items here. Let's say in bathroom 3, I want to mark the plan for some sconces. Maybe we're going to have a sconce here and a sconce here. I can also come in and adjust the size of these markers if I want to make them smaller. So you'll notice when I put those pin markers on the plan, it's actually quantifying that for me. So I put 2, so it's now telling me I'm going to have 2 sconces. So I got 2 sconces, and then I can quickly estimate what each sconce is going to cost. And then it's got my markup and my tax there, and it's giving me a total. I can also account for things like shipping. So let's say I wanted to do, it's going to be $25 or $35 of shipping. And then you'll notice my default markup is applied there. But when I go in to edit that, it's going to ask me if I want to edit my defaults. I definitely recommend doing that. This allows you to say, well, on shipping, I'm not charging a markup, or maybe I'm charging 20% and I'm not charging tax on that. On delivery, maybe I'm charging 20%, but I'm not charging tax. Delivery is typically like a white glove delivery service. Anyone who's going to be, sending you an invoice for that delivery. And then labor on this is going to be third-party labor. So someone coming to install it, possibly a contractor or electrician, et cetera. And so you may also want to do a markup on that, but you're probably not going to tax your services. So this will allow you to update all existing items. And the reason this is really helpful is because as you start to estimate out or create this proposal, this is going to transfer over when you start to add product. And that means that as your team is sourcing product, you're not going to accidentally leave off the appropriate markup. So I've got my sconces estimated here. And now I can actually start to fill in product for them. But before I start to get into the product phase, I want to show you some of the specific marking tools that are in Materio. So we have 4 different types of markers. Let's just go down to the tile and I will show you how you can estimate tile. So I'm going to click the quantity here and click mark plans. And when I do that, for something like tile, I'm going to be using either the area tool or the polygon tool. They both quantify square footage, but this is going to allow me to just draw a rectangle or a shape very easily. And then I can add my waist to it and I can save that. And then let's say maybe we're doing a more complicated item, like we're going to do the primary bathroom floor tile. I'm going to click this, mark the plans, and use the polygon tool because it's a little bit of an odd shape here. So I can come in and mark this because it looks like on this plan, they're all the same tile. And it's just going to allow me to do a little bit of an odd shape, but still get the square footage and add in my waste there. And then again, I'm going to estimate. So maybe I'm going to propose $15 a square foot plus, $100 shipping. And then for the labor, maybe it's 1,000 to install that. So that is going to give me very quickly an estimate of what it's going to cost my client and what I should be able to spend or budget for this item using the takeoff tool. So now when I go over to, let's look at cabinetry. So then we're going to look at linear feet. The other tool that we can use here is linear feet. So actually, let's go ahead and mark the plans linear feet for this vanity in the bathroom. So it's a full width vanity going side to side, and you'll notice that it adds in 10 feet 7 for me. So I can press enter to let go of that line. And then if I were measuring something like wallpaper or height, wall tile, I could use the height times the waist. For this, I'm not going to add any waist in, but it just puts me at about 10 and a half or so linear feet. And so I can quickly say, okay, for a custom vanity, it's going to be, $500 per linear foot. And then I can also add in, the labor for installing that. So very quickly, I've got an idea of what this custom, vanity is going to cost my clients. So again, it is a little bit of planning up front, but this is the way that you can ensure you're making your markups, you're getting your profits, they are baked in, and you're giving your client a really good estimate, and then your team a really great budget to work off of when they start to source. So just an example also with the linear feet tool is if you're doing something like shower walls, again, you would take this linear feet tool, you would outline the walls here, press enter, and then you would do the height of the walls and then plus any waste that you might want to do. So that is how you would create that and highlight it. Now you'll see that as I create these markers, I can hover over these items and see more information about them. So this is really cool because it gives your clients a great way to visualize what's going to be there. And it's even better for your trades or your contractors or your team in the field who is trying to look at these items and say, great, this green tile goes here. It gives them a lot of confidence in the work that they're doing. It gives them a quick place to navigate to where the items are versus going through a list or a spreadsheet. This is going to give them a really intuitive way to navigate where things are going and how to find information. So then after I've gotten my scope started, I've gotten it outlined, I'm ready to send a proposal to my client, I would just come over here and invite my client. I already have one on this project, so I will just show you what that looks like. When you're inviting a client, you have the ability to edit their permissions. So this is going to allow you to say, do I want them to see the line item pricing? Again, never including your markup, but just do I want them to make decisions based on price? Or just category or location totals. So you might say, hey, I just want my clients to look at sort of this overall budget on electrical, but they're not looking at pricing as they make decisions or lump sum. You can also decide if you want to show them things like your project timeline. Most designers, you guys are not going to want to be showing your sources, but let's say you're a design build firm and you want them to be able to see because you're just doing, retail prices and doing a cost plus job, you would show those sources, or maybe you're doing e-design and you're just providing designs and you want them to be able to shop those links, you would do view sources so they could see that. So there's a lot of flexibility here when you're inviting your client. And then the last thing would just be client notifications. How often do you want your clients to be notified about certain things in the project, like comments that mention them, decisions that are made maybe by another team member, or maybe it's a partnership and one partner has approved and maybe the other partner wants to be notified about it. So that's just some capabilities there when you invite your client. And then if you ever have questions about what your clients see, you can always click on their icon and do a view as, and that's going to showcase their permission set and what they see when they look at these spaces. So I've invited my client to the project, let's say they've agreed to this scope of work, this proposal, and we are moving forward. Now it's time for me to start sourcing. Now, oftentimes designers, you guys are going to be sourcing things up front and you're going to be proposing actual product. That's a lot of work to actually propose product before even knowing if the budget's there or what's available. So oftentimes I suggest doing most of the budgeting and proposal first, and then we're going to move over to the selections. Now your selections workspace is a visual workspace that allows you and your team to see everything that is needed to be sourced. And you'll notice even on this project, I didn't get deep into the proposal. There's already 75 decisions that need to be made. So when you're building a 5,000 square foot house, there are going to be probably 3 to 4 times as many decisions as I have right here. And that's a lot of decisions for your team to manage and keep track of. So I'm going to look into this area. This is a great way for me to say, okay, today I'm going to work on sourcing plumbing, or maybe today I'm going to work on electrical. And you can kind of assign those to your team and say, hey, Jana, please go work on the tile selections for the Running Ridge project today. And they'll be able to come right here and see exactly what is needed. So you'll notice this was the floor tile that I'd estimated. Now I can come in and pull from my library. It's going to open me up into the tile section. Maybe I want to present a couple options, maybe this one, maybe this one. This is just going to give me a way to store information. This is a global library, so everyone on your team can add to this library and you can use it across all projects. So I'm going to add those 3 options, and then you'll see I have 3 options for this tile. I can show this to my client and they can see different budgets. And this is also a way for you as like the lead designer to come in. Let's say your junior designer is doing a bunch of sourcing. You can hop in here and say, no, I really don't want to present this option to them. I don't think it's the right style. You could just delete it off before you send it over to your client. So it gives a great place to review those types of selections before even sharing them with your client. So this is what the firm sees. Obviously, I'm seeing all the vendor information and the details. But as I start to add products here, I can then decide if I want to send it over to my client for them to approve. So I'm going to add in a few other things here. And now let's say I'm ready to send. Usually you're going to have a batch of these. Oftentimes designers are doing this by location. They might send all of the kitchen selections over to their client. But what you'll notice most importantly about Materio here is that I have these different workspaces: open, awaiting approval, confirmed, and then purchase orders. And this is going to take me through the flow of selections. So anything that is open is things that your client cannot see yet. This is going to be why we have this big yellow banner here that says send it over. This is ready to send. So I'm going to go ahead and send this over. You can filter this. Again, you can do by location or by category. So if you wanted to send everything in the primary bathroom over, and maybe you have some items there for the living room and you're not ready yet, you can filter those out. I can send this over to my client. They're going to get an email. And now you'll notice those are cleared out of my open workspace. And I have now 2 in awaiting approval. And this is how you know that it's been sent over to your client and that it is in their hands and it is for them there. It's there for them to approve. And we'll look at the client portal in just a minute. But this is a great way for you to know that it's kind of moved to the next step. Now, this is what they're going to see. They're not going to see exact pricing, but let's just open it up. Let's just say that these were approved. So they've approved this one. And then let's say that they come in and they have a question. And maybe also, for instance, in this one's very expensive. This one is not. You might want to come in and throw a comment on here and just mention your comment and say, hey, Maria, this is a bit more expensive, but I really loved, love this look. So if you need to drop any kind of information to your clients about the decisions that you've put in front of them, you can do that here and they can have a conversation back and forth with you. You can also turn this into a team discussion. And this is a great way to talk about availability, sourcing, things you don't want your clients to see necessarily, kind of coordination around product that is there for each product you can communicate on. All right, so we'll actually just say that this is approved and we'll move it over. Now, once things are approved, as you can see, they are cleared out of this workspace and they are moved over to the confirmed workspace. And this is how you know this has been selected by my client. It is ready to be invoiced for. It is ready to be ordered. You can view it in a grid format. You can also view it in a table format, and it gives you a little bit more information. You can come in and update the statuses here. Ordered, shipped, received, and progress complete. This gives you abilities to add in tracking information, scheduled on your timeline, etc. We'll get there in just a minute. But first, I've got these things approved. And now I want to send an invoice to my client so that I can go ahead and order this. So I'm going to go over to the Finances tab. Your Finances tab is a great way to see what is planned expenses or project budgets and what are the actuals. So where have you brought money in? Where are the items at? But we're going to go to the Invoicing tab today, and we're going to send an invoice for this tile. You'll notice here that we have a Stripe connection. If you connect to Stripe, you can get paid online through Materio. You can also connect to QuickBooks Online so that all of your expenses, invoices, and purchase orders can be synced over to QuickBooks Online. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new invoice. This is where I could select payment date. I could title this tile deposit, any kind of memo you'd want to add here. And then in Materio, I have the ability to bill for items. So this is going to be project scope. You can also come in and bill for your hours logged, any kind of expenses or other. And of course, I can also collect a retainer if I wanted to do that, say at the beginning of the project. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click project scope, and any scope that has any kind of estimated amount is going to show up here. So if I do all scope, you'll see I have a lot of things that I didn't fill out in this project yet. So that's why it's not showing up. But typically, if there's any kind of estimated price, you can bill for it. It does not have to be an approved product. You can actually just bill for an item. Like let's say we know we need sconces in the bathroom. We can bill for that, and then we can select. And if things are selected that are over or under that initial amount paid, Materio is going to help track that and then allow you to build a difference. For now, I'm just going to add this tile to the invoice. And this is where I can come in and say, okay, I want to collect 50% so that I can go ahead and place the order. Maybe you collect in full. Either way, that's a capability that's there for you. And then I can also say, do I want to accept credit card or ACH transfer or wire transfer? And this is going to be, if you've connected to Stripe, you can do this. The default is going to be that the client covers the fee. You're welcome to overtake that fee and change that. With wire transfers, everyone ends up paying a fee. That's just how wire transfers work, unless your client's bank has waived that fee for them. So there's going to be a flat fee of $15, but that's going to allow you to collect a large amount of money very securely. So then I can send this over. When I send this, it's going to also sync to my QuickBooks Online account. I will highlight that there is a move to QuickBooks function here. If you wanted to collect payment in QuickBooks, it's not the ideal workflow only because it doesn't allow you to make edits and changes to the invoice, but it is an option if you need it. So I'm going to send this over. And you'll notice there's a QuickBooks column here and that it is syncing. So while that's happening, I want to show you what it looks like in the selections workspace. If I come here, you'll see that it says it has been invoiced for. So as things are invoiced for or paid, you're going to get that kind of visual notification throughout the system. And if I also come back to my scope of work and search for items here, you'll also be able to see the details on this item as well. So just to note, you can search for items because it can get very busy, and a lot of items here when you start to build out a really big custom project. So you can do that here. Another thing I'll note while I'm over here is that I can start to track my time. Let's say I'm working on sourcing. I want to do that. It's billable. I can start my timer, and then I can keep working. So I'm going to go back to the finances tab. For the sake of this, I will say this is paid. You'll also notice that it has synced over to QuickBooks. So this gives me a great, easy way to access this invoice in QuickBooks if I'd like to. There's a link there. For this, I'm just going to say it was paid. You can choose to send a payment confirmation or not. I'm going to save that. So now it's paid, and I'm going to go back to my selections workspace. You'll notice it's paid. And this is where I'm now ready to send a purchase order because I feel confident I've been paid for that item and I want to go ahead and do that. So in Materio, there are two ways to send a purchase order. You can record an order, and that's really just like tracking an expense on items, but it is going to sync to QuickBooks as a purchase order if you needed to. And then I'm also going to be able to send a new order. So I'm going to record an order that I placed. You'll notice it does let you know that it's paid there. This is where I can come in and upload an attachment, record the order, and then I can say what I actually paid for the total. So let's say I paid $4,300 for this, and then I actually ended up paying $72 in shipping. I can update that, and then I can also say how much did I pay to date. Maybe I only had to pay a deposit, maybe I paid for all of it. So I can track those payments, and then it's also going to update it on my timeline if I have a timeline and update it to ordered. So I'm going to confirm that. And because I went ahead and paid in full, it's going to be moved over to the paid column. If I just confirmed it and paid some kind of deposit or hadn't paid anything on it yet because I wanted to pay it through QuickBooks, then I would just move it to the confirmed column. And then it would then sync to QuickBooks when it hits the confirm column or when it hits the pay column. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like to send a new order to Bedrosians, let's say. You can add your contact here. If there is no vendor contact information yet, you can do it right in this workspace. You can also CC another contact on this purchase order. And then I can go to next. You're going to get a preview of what your vendor is going to see. They're going to get an email that looks like this. They're also going to get a PDF attachment of the purchase order. And then you can also customize this message if you'd like to. It's just kind of a default there. You can add a receiver contact if you'd like. So if you have multiple receivers that help handle your projects, you can do that. You can also send it to the company site or to the project address. And then you can choose here if you want to include the pricing or not. So I'm going to go to send this over. And when you do that, it's going to go to the sent column, and then you can come in and upload a receipt. Let's say the vendor responds directly back to you with the invoice instead of submitting it through Materio. You could come in and use it, upload it here. I'm going to show you what it looks like though for the vendor. They're going to get this information. They're going to be able to upload the receipt here, or the invoice rather, write you a message if they need to, let you know what the total is, and then when the payment is due, and then when the product is expected to ship. And they can submit that back to you. And when you go back to your project, you'll notice that it goes into needs review. And this means I need to take a look, see if the invoice makes sense. You can click it right here. And then you can go in and say, yep, this is great. I'm going to confirm it. If I confirm it, again, it's going to be moved over to QuickBooks here, and that's when you might want to convert it to a bill and pay the bill through QuickBooks. So either way, you could track payments here. You could also go into your QuickBooks account, create a bill, and then pay a bill through the system. So that's how you send a purchase order. And then when I go back to my confirm column now, you'll see that both of these have been ordered. So it's going to automatically update that status for you. And then it's also going to put on my timeline the expected ship dates. So then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to walk through how you can track product. So let's say that this is shipped. You've gotten an email about it because you're the one who manages the procurement. I can come in, I can paste in tracking information. I can put the carrier. I can put any sort of notes here, like maybe it's 2 boxes. Maybe I want to put that arrival on my timeline and update it. So then it's going to change it to shipped. It's going to keep any notes there. And then it's also going to show up on your timeline as an expected delivery. Once it's been placed on your timeline, this is a great way to easily move the delivery dates or expected ship dates. You can just drag it. You can also come in and see the history of this item again from here, which is a great way to just reference things really quickly. You'll notice also that shipping soon and upcoming deliveries also show up in the list view on your timeline over here on the left. So let's say I receive this and it's in the warehouse. I can also update that, add those notes. So again, this is just a really visual way to come in and identify where things are at. Now, before I leave the selections workspace, I'm going to go over what it looks like to export a project or export your selections rather. This is often used to hand off to people on the job site. This might be to hand off to contractors when you are speccing things for a spec house or a development project. But I can go in and export this and do print. And then I have the ability to kind of break things down by location or category. Because we only have 2 things on here right now, I'll just do everything. But you can also do need selection awaiting approval. This would allow you to print out multiple options that you might be presenting to your client if you want to present that to them in person. But you can change the statuses here, and then I can also decide if I want to show the prices or not. And I'm going to print this out. And you'll see that you get this nice printout. You've got your logo there. You've got a lot of information about the products, the SKU, the quantity, pictures, etc. It also lets you know when it's going to be printed. I mean, when it was printed, so that you can kind of see if it's really out of date. Now, we obviously encourage you to only do this in situations where you need to hand things off when you know it's done. If anything is still changing on a project, oftentimes what we're going to recommend, and this is sort of the best case, this is the best way to do this, is to share a view-only link. So I'm going to go in and create a view-only link. I'm going to say new. Let's say I want to show the electrician, the electrical, maybe I want to break it down by trade. I want to show them the main floor and the second floor finishes, and I want to save that. When I create this new link, I can copy this. and I can send this in an email, send this in a text message, add it to a QR code and put it on the job site. But it is going to give me a live link to this project. You know, I don't have a lot of markers on there now, but you're probably going to have this filled up with markers and all of the electrical is going to be there. So someone can access the locations of the specs, information about those specs, without having to log in. So this is a great tool to take this live link, put it in the QR code, print it out, put it on a job site, or send this to your trades and say, this is where it is. As you update this, this link is going to update. So it's going to be a great tool for keeping information live in the field. All right, now I'm going to talk about the timeline briefly. So let's go to the timeline. I can come in and I can use a template. So I could start a project. Let's say I want to do a full house remodel. I'm going to add this in here. I think I have to reset my timeline because usually you're doing this at the beginning before you start to add in all those products. So let me use a template here. And you'll notice that within each of these phases, I might have tasks. So let's say this is actually going to be the client onboarding phase. Every time you have a project, you're probably doing some things the same. So for instance, for a client onboarding, you're going to have that initial meeting. You're going to get your contracts drafted. You're going to get them signed. You're going to collect the retainer. That is something you're going to do every time you have a project. So why not make that a planned task and a phase that you know that you can replicate on each project? I can then just come in and assign it to whoever needs to be assigned to, and whoever is in charge of that would be the person this task is going to show up on their personal task list the moment that that phase comes into play. So this is a great way to quickly add things. Let's say you wanted to review existing conditions. You know, it's really easy to just add a task. You just type it in, assign it to someone, and then select the due date. And based on the due dates, it's going to go in order of when is it first due all the way down. So that's how you can kind of determine the order. Now, let's say I wanted to add different phases. Let's just say I want to do, you know, phase 3. Again, you can just type those in. It's always going to be naturally dependent on the previous phase, but I can definitely come in and clear that out if I don't want that dependency. But what dependencies do is give you the availability to shift the schedule and move things accordingly. So let's say design development gets pushed, we want to push everything else behind it. So that's just a great tool for that. Now over here on the right, you do have a drag and drop timeline. So you can decrease the days here, you can push days out, you can move the schedule. It just gives you a really fluid way to manage. You can spread this out if you want to view more, get closer and move around. So it's a great way to visually represent the timeline. You do have the capability to share this with your clients. And if you invite any collaborators to the project, they can see the timeline as well. So it's a great tool for keeping everyone on track when it comes to managing what's going to happen on the project. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the activity. So the activity feed is an internal feed. This is going to be a place where everything that's happening on the job is listed. Your clients will not see this. So this is a great place to come in and add notes. Let's say you wanted to add notes about, you know, went to the job site today, looking good. You know, my notes are not very creative this morning, but then you can come in and you can actually add photos if you wanted to. You can make this note as long as you want. You can summarize meeting notes, etc. I can save this, and what that's going to do is show up here in my activity feed. I can come in and filter by notes from anyone or a specific person if I'm looking for information. And then I can also come in, and if I do want my client to see this, I can prepare a report, a selected date range, and it's going to generate notes, photos. If you're tracking your time, those notes are going to populate right here, and you can customize those. Just activity on the project. And things that are coming up in, you know, the near future based on the timeline. Those are ways for you to communicate with your client or collaborators what's happened on the project this week. We also have some designers and teams who like to send this to everyone on the team, you know, at the end of the week, as sort of an update. Or if you want to send it, if you're, you know, a project manager, you want to send it to the owner of your firm who wants to kind of get a good glimpse of what's going on. This is a great tool to do that. So that's your activity feed. And then we're also going to talk about the time tracking. So I've let this time tracking go for a while. I can add in notes, worked on sourcing tile for bathrooms, and then I can stop that timer. And then I can also, of course, come in and manually enter. So let's say I forgot to add something. I want to come back and enter it for today. I can. I would say, let's say I'm working on company things. Maybe I'm working on marketing efforts for the company. I could say that I worked on the website. I could do that. I could say that I worked 1 hour and 20 minutes and save that time entry. So then I can also come to today, see my time entries. If I click manage my time, it's going to allow me to come over to the space where I can really easily add or edit my time. I can change the dates. I can add new dates. If you're an admin on the account, you'll be able to see everyone on the company, their time, and you can filter down and manage their time. Let's say I forgot to add something yesterday. I want to come in, add it for the 12th. Maybe I was working on this project and I was doing drafting work. It was billable. Maybe I want to say I worked 2 hours and 10 minutes on that. And I can say drafting new floor plans for the kitchen. So I could do that. You'll see it's really easy. I don't have to press save. I don't have to, open up fields. It's really manipulative, or you can really manipulate this space really easily. And then I can also come in and just turn off billable. So let's say I'm an administrator, I'm getting ready to bill my time, and I want to go through and sort of turn certain things off because maybe we spent too much time on it. I can really easily just turn those off. So this is how you can easily manage and track your time. And if I come over here, this will take me back to my dashboard. Generally speaking, you're going to be hanging out on your dashboard. You'll see your projects here. You've got all of your open tasks here as well. Just a reminder that when you do go into a project, you can easily switch between projects. Here, you can also search for their information. So we've made it super easy for you to navigate around the system. If you are interested in seeing timelines for all your projects, you can do that here. And this is just a great way, like maybe the beginning of the week, to look at what's going on. And again, same thing for tasks. Maybe it's Monday morning and you're trying to look at, hey, what do we have going on in this project? Maybe there's nothing. Maybe we have tasks coming up here. I can say, great, these are in progress, and move them over. So it's just a really easy way to start to connect all of the pieces in all of your projects in one place. So now we're going to head back to our project. I actually didn't go deep into how you can add details because we have a little bit more time. I'm going to go into the selections workspace a bit more and talk about how you can clip products in a few different ways. So I'm going to head over to this website and we will, let's see, let's find a light we want to clip or something like that. How about this one? So then I will use our Chrome extension selection clipper here. I can click the little Materio logo. You'll notice that it's going to pull the products, product photos in for me. I can then say, okay, this is electrical, sconces. It's going to pull in product name, SKU. I might want to move this over to the left so I can make sure I am choosing the right option. Maybe I want to choose the brass. So I might want to put that in hand rubbed antique brass. I can copy and paste any kind of dimensions here like that. They will pull in the description, just to note that the description is client facing. So this one pulls in the price. You might not want to do that. It's going to pull in website, price, etc. You can go in and add in your markup, your lead time here, and then you're going to save it to your library. So that's one really quick way to add products to your library. I can come back to this project. Let's say I want to pull it in here, go to pick from library. It's going to show up as new for 24 hours after I or my team have clipped it. So it'll be at the top there in that section. And there you go, I've pulled the product. Another way that you can pull product is sort of an experimental method. It doesn't work on every website because of the way that we are pulling data from websites when we do this, but it is really effective sometimes if you want to do something fast. You can do take from website. I can paste this link in. I can fetch the product details. Depending on the site, it might pull in multiple photos. I can uncheck or check those. and then I can go to next. It's going to pull up the option panel. Now, this is really helpful for a few reasons. One is that you can then easily pull in tear sheets or installation instructions with product. And then you can also get very specific on any kind of thing you want to add here. What I will also say while we're here is if you're estimating or if you're adding in products that are sold in the carton or the box, you can click right here and do buy the box. So that's great for things like tile. And it's going to show you a good reflection of the client facing price. Also, this is a place where you can come in and use our calculator to say, great, I want the client price to be $500, and it will back into your markup for you. So if you're trying to determine a client facing price, this is a great way to do that as well. So then I can save that information and it will save it there for me. So those are a few ways you can add in product. If you're trying to add in something custom, let's say you're doing a custom shelving unit and you want to make sure that that is, the drawings are in and your client approves it. Let's say we wanted to come to cabinetry. I have cabinetry on here. I don't know where it is. We'll just say we're doing a custom sofa. So I can come in, I can do a new option. This is where I would add in drawings or photos here. So let's say I'm adding in, let's just pretend this is a custom light here. I'm adding in this drawing. So I'm going to do that, enter in all the information, again, who's the custom vendor, etc. Save in what it's going to cost for me to do this item, or what it's going to cost me and what my client markup is, if I'm doing tax, if there's any kind of other labor associated with it. You can spell that all out here. Again, if you need to add in more attachments for the people who actually be installing this work, you could do that and then save it. And this just gives you a way to implement anything custom. You can just add it that way. All right, I think I've covered a lot of the system. There are, of course, more things we could go into, like inviting your collaborators. Anytime you want to invite someone to your project, you're going to come over here. If you have a team member in your organization, you can always access those over here in contacts. Team members are able to see all projects. You can define their permission sets a bit, but they will see all. If you are following a project, the little bell will be on. And this just allows you to make sure you're getting the daily briefings about the project, you're getting updates about the project. And so that's why you would want to follow. If you're adding a team member directly from a project and they show up here at the top right, that means that they're following it and they're going to be getting all those updates. And then if you ever need to manage your notification settings, because you do have a lot of projects, you can always come in and do that here. And that just helps keep your inbox nice and clean. And if you want to just get, end of day reports on things, that is an option. So I hope that this has been helpful to see a really kind of deep overview of how the system works. I'm sure I've forgotten something because there's so much here, but I'm really excited for you to explore this as a project management tool to help you, navigate these bigger projects, help you navigate multiple projects and scale your project size, scale your project, your business, and really just keep your team and your clients in one place. And you know what that brings me to? I forgot to show you what the clients see. So let me stop sharing for a second and I will show you what they see. So let's do that. All right. Of course, give my whole exit speech and then I realized I forgot to show you the client workspace. All right, so I'm going to open it up here. This is what the client is going to see. You'll notice this client has multiple projects, but they're going to get a nice big view of your logo. So make sure you put that into your account. They're going to see a big thumbnail for their project, any action items that they might have. So if that's an invoice that needs payments, change orders that need to be approved, selections that need to be approved, if they're going to click that, it's going to take them right to where they need to go. So you'll see it took my client right here to where they need to go in to make decisions. And they can open this up. And then while they're approving certain things, they can see what other selections have been approved in that location. They can approve things. Of course, they can come in and decline things. And that's going to just mark it as declined. They can come in and see the confirmed workspace. They'll be able to see, what the statuses are. They're not going to be able to see any kind of notes that you've added to those items, but they, or tracking information, but they will be able to see if things are received or not. And then they will be able to see finances. They'll be able to see, okay, where has my money gone? What's left? How much have I paid? So they'll be able to see those there as well. So that's a great view into what the clients are going to see on the platform. Again, they're usually only going to have one, maybe two projects. So this is going to be much less for them, but they're going to get this nice, clean space that allows them to understand their project and where their investment dollars are going. So again, I hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at hello@materio.co. We are here to help, and we're so excited for you to get your projects streamlined and organized. Y'all have a great day.